7:42 is our time. Welcome back to the Morning Drill. First guest this morning is the Executive Director of the Titusville Community Development Foundation, or Agency, sorry. Titusville Community Development Agency.
Yeah. See, I'm not the only one this morning, okay?
You're not the only one this morning. I'm sorry, Jim.
Yeah, he is. He's extremely sorry.
I was going to go into the fact that not only are you the executive director, but you're also a pretty good Pokemon Go player. We've seen you out in the park playing at night.
You might have me confused with somebody else.
Oh, no, that's Joe Roddy. That's right.
There's no way to confuse me with Joe Roddy.
So you're not... Have you driven past Shady Park and seen adults and kids out there?
Yeah. I have
That's
no
strange,
idea.
Isn't it?
I got nothing.
That could be some economic boom that you're missing out on.
There was a guy that hacked into his Tesla automobile, this all-electric, it's completely computer controlled. He's hacked into it so that he can play Pokemon Go.
Whether or not his brakes work.
Right.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Wow. Well, Jim's joining us this morning. There's a lot going on, Jim. Do you want to start with the survey part, or do you want to catch us up on what's been happening?
Let's start with the survey. That's the current news of the day. The city asked us, and the city and us have been working together a little bit on an idea on how we can take advantage of some things going on in the downtown, with the direction the downtown's moving, and how we can capitalize on that and still try to address what some or many feel are issues within the downtown. One of the ways to do that is to get a good feel for what the community's thinking, the business owners, the property owners, the people who frequent the downtown, our local residents, try to capture tourists as they come through and get a feel for what they think. This survey that we're putting out effective today is based on a Pennsylvania Downtown Center survey. This is a survey that they use when they're trying to compile information about communities that are looking to become a Main Street program. We're not sure that we're there yet, that's the direction that the community wants to head. But we did modify it a little bit. Questions regarding 4-lane highways and things like that were deleted from our our survey.
So that's not a...
Yeah, we figured we'd skip those.
But the 8-lane highway is still a go.
It's in, yeah. Okay. We're looking at the loop, the loop that goes around.
The Titusville loop.
Yeah, so... but it addresses everything. Some of it seems generic, but there's a theme to the way they do their surveys. Everything from safety in your community to how often do you frequent any retailers or restaurants in the downtown? What do you think of the facades? How does the town look? Vacancies, gets into a little bit of everything. And then at the end of it, all the data is captured. Not only electronically through the SurveyMonkey program, but also the paper copies that we get they'll be loaded into the same system, so all that data is added in. And then Pennsylvania Downtown Center will produce a report that shows the survey results, the percentages, things like that will help the community formulate a plan moving forward of what appears to be important to the residents, what visitors to our town think, good and bad. And this is gives us an opportunity to accentuate our positives and look to come up with ways to address what the community feels are negatives.
I see there's 48 questions as part of the survey, and I'm sure there's a lot of information you can get from just 48 questions. Well, you're talking some major decisions that are going to be made.
Sure, and if this survey comes back and identifies a specific group of questions that targets on a specific thing, there's other surveys that can be done to drill down into those specific things only. So this may be step one of a couple of steps, but this is an attempt to get more community input, get residents input, get input from different groups that are already existing, get, like I said, from tourism, people that are traveling, passing through the area. The reason we came out with it this week is leading up into Oil Fest, when we have Titusville alumni home for a few days, people who grew up here and may not be here now, to get their opinions on what the downtown in particular, where it's at right now. There's an area on the survey that identifies their zip code, where they're from, which will help formulate in and outs, who's a resident here, how much usage is our downtown getting from the surrounding smaller communities of Pleasantville, Hyatown, Pleasantville and the Cherry Tree area. How are we doing with the surrounding areas? So it'll give us an opportunity to capture some data and hopefully use that to formulate a plan.
Now, you said this could lead to something like a Main Street program, but it's not necessarily going to be the result of that, is it?
That has not been determined. There's in May, the representatives from the Pennsylvania Downtown Center and the Department of Community Economic Development, Keystone Communities programs were here in town, spent pretty much all day with us, looked at a variety of things that were going on. They are supportive of our community's efforts moving forward. So,
and for those who don't know, because Oil City has a Main Street program, and we just had Kay Bailey on just a couple weeks ago. What is the Main Street program? It
does a little bit of everything. It's a coordinated effort for the downtown to move the retailers, move the community forward. Events, coordination, things like that helps. And we have a lot of this already in place now. But there's different pillars under the Main Street program where they have committees.
Right.
TRI here locally, it was a Main Street program years ago. There was a period of time where they had a paid manager. That manager position ended up being not paid after a period of time. They've been in the program a couple different times, but since the Main Street manager has been gone, they've continued on as a volunteer group with board members, and they've tried to keep the committee focused together. And there's going to be some changes in the Main Street approach. Some say minor, some say major. With the people that you talk to down in Harrisburg, but there's other opportunities that are on the table from the Department of Community Economic Development. So it's some of these things are like I said, already being done, and that's what we hope to capture in the survey as well. What's already being accomplished? Who's
there's still
doing what?
I mean, there's still people that look at the Redevelopment Authority and think, well, isn't that their job?
No.
Right.
Yeah, it's
always been that way.
Yeah, I know. We've been built over time to really handle industrial development. We're a certified industrial development entity. The little bit of downtown stuff that we were involved with before was, and still are, it's any type of, if there are some commercial developers that show up in our area, we end up talking to them. Even out in Oil Creek Township, when things are going on out there, we end up talking to developers and helping where we can with state programs if there are any available, or if they qualify for the project that's being done. We took on the town square building early on in an attempt to generate commercial office space on some of the upper floors on buildings that were the upper floors were just not being used. And prior to the fire, it was a pretty good success story for
Yes,
everyone, everyone all the way around. So we're and we fully expect that to be the same thing again. I mean, it's they're creating that foot traffic in the downtown with commercial office space on the upper floors that was unused. It builds those people and that support then the retailers on the first floor. To generate foot traffic to give them the bodies that they need.
So this is a survey that people really need to take seriously. This is not just some
we
fly-by-night issue.
Huge participation. We're going to post it on the TCDA website. We're posting it on our Facebook page, the Foundation's Facebook page. The city's going to post it on their their website. Hard copies will be at the library, at City Hall, and at the Chamber. We're going to send out flyers in the Chamber newsletter later on this month, asking all the Chamber members to
signs
participate.
up in windows and such.
Signs in windows all over town. We're going around and talk to property owners of putting these signs up, asking people to participate. The typical, if you talk to people who do surveys, they say 1% is what you're looking at. If we get 590 people filling out the survey, I wouldn't be happy with that personally. I mean, I would really like to see 1,000. I'd like to see more than 1,000. The more input we get on this, the better. The system with SurveyMonkey, though, is set up that one person sitting at a computer all night can't keep going in and generating more and more and more and more of the same. It's one survey per IP address is the way they have it set up. So if you have a phone, iPad, and a desktop.
And you handed me a survey just to look at. So they're not going to be handed this. They just go online.
There will be hard copies.
Oh, so
around
they
town.
can do this
too.
too.
Yeah, they can do it on.
Okay.
Yeah, because not everybody is connected and online, and we're probably going to drop off some surveys over at the towers and in other areas, asking for them to get some paper copies done. The problem we have with doing the survey online through your phone is you have to generate an app.
Okay.
And quite frankly, we don't have the ability to create an app to do the survey. So a desktop, an iPad, those things can be done electronically. Paper copies at the chamber, the library, and City Hall. And then you can turn those hard copies, back into City Hall through the Dropbox, not the one on the side of the building, but the one on the front of the building, that will then gather and collect and input. We're hoping that we can generate a lot of surveys, get a lot of input, get a lot of feedback. Then the report will be generated from SurveyMonkey. We'll get that out to the Pennsylvania Downtown Center. They'll coordinate all the data and then provide us with the feedback of here's what everybody said.
7:53 is our time. This is the Morning Drill on Stream Television and the Allegheny News Talk Sports Network. What's the deadline for this?
We're going to run it through September 8th or 9th, after Labor Day, the week after Labor Day.
And then how quickly will you start to see some of those results?
I hope that electronic ones will be able to turn right away. We'll get the ones entered on paper copy just as soon as we get them. We should be able to generate a report the following week to PDC, the Pennsylvania Downtown Center. Their turnaround, I'm not sure, but it shouldn't be long. Then we'll bring the data back. We'll come back and talk with you guys and talk to city leadership and throw it out there and see where we want to go next.
There's been an awful lot of neat things that have happened in downtown Titusville. Big project that TRA has worked on has been the decorative light posts. There's been all the stuff at Fleming Park. There's been talk about an overlay plan. There's been the facade program that the foundation has worked on.
Yep.
Are these the kind of things that you're hoping to see feedback on?
Yep.
It's the kind of things that you're hoping to expand, maybe?
Both yeses. All that, yes. There are good things happening in town, and we want those captured in the survey as well. We're not just coming out looking for negatives. There are some negatives that need to be addressed. There's no doubt. I think no one is ever happy when you have vacant storefronts in your downtown. It's not an easy fix. That's something that everyone, before any survey results, we can tell you that it's not an easy fix. You have the old theory here is that Walmarts all around America are taking out small downtowns with retailers, but now you got Amazon taking out Walmarts. So how does a small retailer in a downtown carry enough colors, shapes, sizes to be able to meet the customer's needs when you can have any size, color, shape, or scented thing tomorrow from Amazon?
Well, and that's the other thing too, Jim, is the patience of people today. There is no patience. So somebody walks into a store and they don't have it.
Right.
They turn around because they know, well, I can get it quickly somewhere else.
And that's one of the reasons we're talking about this, getting back in with this retail incubator idea, where we, in the Thompson's drugstore space, of hopefully getting some people out of those who are out there doing some business now, either online or working out of their garage or their home, give them a small retail presence. And then the hope is that they can then, after establishing some type of retail presence, move into a storefront. Maybe it's 1, 2, or 3 of them together. What happens if you have two different business ideas and they're seasonal? One's a summer and one's a winter. Why can't they split the space front and back when they're seasonal? When they're in season for their product or service.
Those have been very successful ideas in many places. Yeah. Franklin's was so successful that I think they generated a second space to do that.
Yep, that idea is not new. Doing it as a graduation space almost, where you take it from an incubator status to a graduation space, and then hopefully they're out on their own. So you step them.
And that's where it's here. I mean, go down, drive through the Opportunity Park.
Yeah.
I'm amazed at what's going on down there, Jim.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, a lot of people at the beginning of that whole project said, "Oh, it's off the taxes, and not going to hire local people, and they're just going to take our money." And you've got businesses down there buying the properties now.
Yeah, there are, and every business down there pays taxes, every single one of them, and it's so that was through a program that ended in 2010, the Keystone Opportunity Zone program. And that was a program that was needed at the time, and there's still KOZs all over the state that are active up until I think 2020 or 23. It depends on which ones, but we, that area down there. It took so much work. You're talking about an industrial plant that was abandoned over a period of time, and there was no influx of cash into the infrastructure prior to their departure. So it took my predecessor, Mike Allen, took a lot of heat for putting infrastructure down there and connecting, new utilities and, the new basically a new electric grid, natural gas lines, water and sewer, stormwater separation projects, all this stuff that happens that was in the ground and ugly.
Right.
It's stuff that you just don't see, but now as these buildings are filling and they're going
how
from
about
black to white.
all the flack for putting in an elevator, elevator to nowhere. It's, I think the positive side of the fire is people realizing, oh my gosh, this building was alive. I mean, this was worth all that effort.
I agree with that. I mean, it was, like we've talked before, it was eye-opening, the response that we got from the community about the building.
And thanks to TRA, Mr. Otis will be back.
Yes, that's it's been a challenging project, taking 120-year-old building and taking the fourth floor off of it and leaving the rest, and doing 5 buildings at the same time on the upper floors. So
but you didn't have anything going on.
No, we were good. We had plenty of time.
Well, Jim, I wish we could spend more time. We need to have you back because there's a lot of other things going on. But again, you got the survey. Folks can pick up the hard copy. They can go online. When can they start filling this out?
Today.
Yep. Today's the day.
Yep.
So get going on this.
Get out there. We want as much input as we can get. The city's looking to get a real understanding of what the residents think about the downtown, and we think it's a pretty, although the generic questions it encompasses a wide array of things. So we should get some pretty good data back on it.
10-second answer from you. This political season, is that changing anybody's thoughts of investment or growth?
I haven't heard that yet. I mean, we've got several companies in town that are doing expansions. They have expansions on the table. Some have already invested cash in machinery and equipment and buildings. So, in their case, no.
Okay, excellent. News is next. Thanks, Jim. Good to see you this morning.
Such a long time.